ego.
Self-contraction, the tension of self-contraction creates attention.
Ah, it doesn't create. It is the
Same
nature.
thing. It's the same thing. Okay.
In the causal attention, it's the nature of it. That's why ego can't do spiritual life.
Because it's a tension trying to find what's not tension.
It's the
and so it's
hand
always reasserting,
trying to grab itself. So it's always, what's the sound of one hand clapping?
Yeah, right.
It's like
wake up, wake up.
it's always trying to do something. It's like trying to grab itself, and that's the fruitless search. And so some people have to go out and do all that stuff and find gold and find happiness and find marriage. And find
okay, well, let's talk about then as you go from, no, it's my toy, to development. You're talking about this developmental, going to have marriage and so and so. Now, it would appear then that spiritual life is a developmental process.
Absolutely is.
And then, but then you said earlier that it's the seventh stage there is no developmental process in the seventh stage, so to speak.
Well, you have a bodily development, you have a social development, you have the 7 stages of life that all are incorporated into the bodily incarnation of human being.
But what I'm getting at is we're going from gross to subtle to causal.
Correct.
So, and then, apparently, there's the transcendence of all attention, the transcendence of attention, as he says. So take us now to the subtle, how the eye, how attention works in the subtle. I mean, I have a basic sense of how attention works in the gross. Sweetheart.
Well, the subtle dimension is that which is beyond the gross. And then the most common form of that is thought.
And higher thought.
And higher thought, or what we might call mind. And mind is usually developed in linguistically, and you learn about the world and all of that. We're not talking about the gross level of it, though. We're talking about how mind, now you identify you as mind, as point of view, have a center, uninspected. So you go out and you start experiencing the world always referencing the center, never inspected, but just assumed. And so then you develop, and then you have thoughts, and as you want to inspect. If you inspect mind, you can close your eyes, and you can travel, and you can have dreams, and you had a dream, and you want to inspect your dream, and that's the subtle part of mind, because now we're in mind, which is beyond body, in the higher sense. So now you're just in mind, and in reveries, and drugs are a great example of how people can get into the subtle aspects of mind, because mind has
big ladder.
It's the subtleties get subtler and subtler and subtler as you go up into the chain, and it is a rise. This is all an evolution of the 6, 7.
Right, and that's what I have always thought until I read into him that as he says, the typical image of spiritual life is a ladder.
Jacob's ladder.
And that you go from this shit to better shit. Good shit.
You're going to God. It's good shit.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And but you're saying, and Adi Da, you're saying what Adi Da has pointed out to us, that the subtle, I mean, what is the upper terminus of the subtlety? Isn't it when you get up and you have the subtle just rises and you go into samadhi, and doesn't attention dissolve then? Isn't that the end of attention at the height of subtlety?
Well, in the 5th state, let's say we're talking about.
We're talking the best. Let's go creme de la creme on this ladder here.
Well, the creme de la creme would be in the Nirvikalpa formless samadhis and the Sahaj samadhis.
And then formless would be no attention, wouldn't it?
Well, there's the subtle error there. There's where you start to get into the Amrita Nadi he talks about, or the subtle mind, or the root of mind, or the root of attention. Because in that sense of, I'm in that, there's this subtle sense of who's experiencing this sense of bliss. Who is this? Is there, what? There's still the experience. There is somebody experiencing the bliss. There is this sense of, I could be here forever.
But yeah, of course. But we've all had experiences where even that dissolves, but then
what reappears.
But then I goes, oh, that was the greatest thing ever.
Well, then there's claiming, there's ownership.
Yes,
sense of, wow, did I see something great? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Or I have now a realization that I am enlightened, or I am...
Right. I've seen God.
I've seen God.
Right.
And I've been...
So what you're saying here then is the subtlety, the rise of subtlety goes to that place where there is no attention for a moment.
There is always attention.
There's always attention, even though you don't experience it.
Even in the seventh stage of life there's attention. It's your identification that this is dissolves. That's the key. That's the key. It's because there's always, if you're embodied in any realm, form, shape, or color, there is attention. It's your relationship to that in consciousness. Now we got.
Well, in enlightenment, how could if attention is the same as self-contraction, how could there be attention in is there a different kind of attention then in enlightened state? Because enlightenment would be the absence.
It's free attention.
Oh, it's free attention. So please, the difference between free attention. Is free attention like less upset?
It's completely less upset.
I mean, I understand how attention could be like, upset.
Well, this is released.
Yeah, So where's the attention? I thought attention was this.
Attention is in any form of embodiment, whether it be through mind or through gross. If there is embodiment or form, that is attention.
So there's going to be the context in which that arises will naturally hold, as it were, or give, or...
Any form of manifestation, whether it be gross, causal, or subtle.
To the tension of the beings, that tension will have attention.
There is this sense of identification.
Identification.
As long as there is identification, there is immediately, there's a context or other, whether it be a bliss of samadhi
or it be a bone, or I'm thinking of a dog now, just to go to the other end, I can see what you're saying. I was thinking of a dog, it's like, okay, dogs don't have mind in the same way. They're not embroiled in thought. As he says, I was walking down the street and the dog was clear, the guy was neurotic. But the dog still has attention. And so there is and then there's for identity, because the dog fears dying, does everything to keep from dying, just like any other soul. But it's in some sense a free attention as a dog,
Because all of this sits in consciousness. All of this is arising in a state that is completely indescribable, formless.
Oh, I get it.
Placeless.
So then are you saying that there is free consciousness, bliss awareness, and when I tense it, I get attention? Attention is a form of awareness. I look at this, I see that. It's a form of awareness. So when I tense that, which is all-pervading, I get attention.
Well, attention is by nature
tense.
It's tense. But it doesn't. It's not moving. It's not. It doesn't move until it gets to the subtle, into mind form, because mind is attention. When it's the root of mind, all of mind is attention. So it's a subtler mechanism. So when you get to the formless dimension of mind, then it's only in consciousness which is prior to attention, mind, even in the formless state. You can't even speak about this. This is why it's before in history you would never even speak about this stuff.
Okay.